Hi, I'm Reluctant Artsy, and today I'm going to be talking about Wildemount and D&D and nostalgia versus growth. Obviously, you can figure out where this subject is going and what I plan on speaking about, but essentially, there's a big debate, argument, concern going on in the community, either for Wildemount or against Wildemount, and what the implications are from Wizards of the Coast and I guess Hasbro on what the direction of the company is. I don't have any insider information. This is just an opinion, but more it's an observation than an opinion. So let's get right into it. So here is World of Greyhawk. I remember buying Greyhawk. As I've said in the past, I'm 55 years old. I come from a particular era of D&D. I was there from almost the very beginning, starting from Chainmail and then going to AD&D. So I missed D&D, but essentially I come from an old school view of D&D and I guess what assumptions are about what should be canon and what shouldn't be canon. And I certainly have been opinionated over many, many years about what is real role-playing, what isn't real role-playing. And I've really changed my tune over the past, I don't know, few years, but certainly I can pinpoint it down to, say, 3.5 going into 4, and the outcry against 4 and what that all meant. And at the same time, looking at 3.5 turning into Pathfinder. So all of a sudden, that high fantasy genre was certainly changing. And even if you look at the evolution, and there's many videos on this, the evolution of D&D and of tabletop role-playing, you can certainly see that there were a lot of independents that broke away from this high fantasy role, started to get more grim. We had Vampire the Masquerade. We had the Shadowrun series that came out, GURPS, and all the many different ways of implementing GURPS in different settings. I used to have The Prisoner, a TV show from England, back in, I believe, the 70s. So, role-playing has been evolving, but I've noticed it more, say, after Pathfinder and after what happened. And I guess it's safe to say the debacle of 4.0. 4.0 was about trying to get everything to a table and to a virtual table and really measuring out those blocks. And we can say the WoW influenced it, World of Warcraft. But really it was in some ways trying to get back to the miniature aspect of the game. And of course in those years many miniatures came out. I think it was 2002, 2003 when the little box sets of miniatures came out, and to play with a miniatures specific game. And I have tons of miniatures still from that era. But recently it was announced that something was coming down the pipe for March, and everybody started speculating what it would be. And on the screen you'll see that World of Greyhawk was certainly one of the front runners. People wanted to go back to Greyhawk, have Wizards of the Coast develop further the Greyhawk setting, the Gygax setting, maybe what we can call the original setting. Greyhawk brings back wonderful memories for me. But they're memories. Dragonlance. Memories. Nostalgia. I wish I could go back in time and really fully appreciate those settings. I didn't play. I didn't play with many people. I didn't play much at all, to be honest. I had the books. I had the settings. I was invested in the settings. But to the extent of it was of interest, like a novel was of an interest. But it was at a particular time in my life when I was also going to university, and there were a lot of other things going on in my life, and there was a lot of stuff. But now in my 50s, looking back, I want to revisit those feelings that I had, the excitement that I had about the potentiality of role-playing. So Greyhawk was something that I was hoping for, but I didn't think that it was possible. I didn't think that it was possible because I thought, they're not going to rehash Greyhawk. It's too close to Forgotten Realms. So that's out of the cards. So I was trying to think outside of the box, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe Spelljammer. Maybe we'll get something from Spelljammer. No. Was I interested in Spelljammer as a young man? No, not really. It was cool. I liked the shape of the ships. It was very aesthetic, of course, and I liked the look of things. Did I invest myself in it? No. But when I look at the past, I say, that clearly Spelljammer would make sense. We've gone to hell with Avernus. Let's go to space with Spelljammer. Didn't show up. When the rumors started popping out that, this was going to be different, it was going to be, we had a blank page on Amazon, basically saying something's going to be released. We were expecting the 9th, and then it was delayed. And by Saturday or Sunday, I think it might have been Sunday of this week, it was leaked that it would be a Critical Role, a core book. I am surprised at how vicious a lot of people who are my age have been toward Matt Mercer, the Critical Role community, and toward this book that nobody has seen yet. We have now coming out some interviews. There's lots of YouTube stuff out there, but let's look at it from a purely nostalgic point of view. My generation wants to have things come back. I guess in some way we can look at film. Look at how Ghostbusters had a revival. Why? Because Ghostbusters is part of my young adulthood. Who are in the positions of power at the moment in the film industry? 50-year-olds. So we're looking and going back. So you'll see a lot of stuff coming back. TV shows coming back. Because nostalgia is powerful and nostalgia sells. As we get older, we start realizing, and I've started realizing, that my time is passing. We're handing over the baton to a new generation. And I think that that's the way we need to see this, is it's a new generation and the potential for growth within the tabletop role-playing community, regardless of whether or not it's associated with Dungeons & Dragons. D&D is the largest platform, and therefore they're getting a lot of airplay. And they always will, and they always have, unless Hasbro does something to really throw it under the bus. But I don't see that happening. They see this as a cash cow. And if you want to be totally cynical, let's look at it from that perspective. This is good business. You have over 20,000 people supporting a Kickstarter. I think that it was $10 million at the end. I'm not too sure, US. This is huge. you think about it, that's 20,000 people guaranteed who are going to buy your book. And then comes all the others who are watching. I tuned in a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not a regular Critical Role watcher. I used to be. I watched probably the first 30 or, oh, no more. Probably the first 50 or 60 episodes pretty religiously. And then I guess I just started to get bored. I was cynical. I started to see it as being too much drama, too much focused on acting than the wonderful models that Matt would kind of unveil and the miniatures and stuff. And I that was totally wrong on my part. I should not have been cynical. I started watching the new season, but again, I felt kind of lost. I don't know what it was. I don't know exactly what was going on with me. Maybe it became too popular. But again, that's cynical. If I look at it purely from what it is, it's a great romp. And Matt and the crew were so engaging in that initial year and more. Very, very genuine. From all reports, Matt and the gang are very genuine, very nice people in real life. And so how they forward themselves and project themselves on screen is an actual reflection of who they are. And that's, of course, absolutely fantastic. I'm all about being genuine. But at the same time, popularity can make those of us who have a propensity to have opinions and strong opinions, we look at it and we say, well, it's too much acting, so they're ruining the game. No, it's just an evolution of where the game is at and where people are at as they use this. Matt has been forthright in saying in many Reddits, play to have fun. Jeremy Crawford has said, do whatever you need to do. The rules are there in order for you to have fun, but go beyond those rules. Make your own rules. Do whatever you want, as long as you're understanding that this is a game for us to engage in and to have fun with. And I think that currently the community is at a generational crossroads. The older people like myself want to return to the past because it gives us comfort. It gives us something to hold on to when we know that everything around us is starting to diminish. Our mortality is starting to be questioned. We're thinking about, well, I want my games that I used to have when I was in my teens and in my early 20s. I want to revisit that again because I'm losing time. I want to have the most out of it as possible. But I think what Wizards of the Coast has done is extremely good for the hobby. Initially, I must say, I was not positive about this book. I didn't want to buy it, and I just found myself being irked by it. And I needed to reflect on, why am I irked? What's bothering me about this? And it's this nostalgia. But why it's good for the hobby is this is bringing in so many new players who love the setting of Critical Role. Why is it any different for Gary Gygax giving us a setting? Or having Ed Greenwood give us something, or Chris Perkins give us something, or whoever? Does it really matter where it comes from? Is there something wrong with Matt Mercer's brainchild? Is there something intrinsically wrong with it? No, absolutely not. And that's the thing that we should be looking at, is there's nothing, Matt's done nothing wrong. He's just providing us with another world that's different enough from Forgotten Realms that gives us another option. for those of us who have many different systems and many different worlds that we like to visit in our role-playing, this is just one more option. How can that be wrong for the community? How can that be bad? Will I buy it? I probably will, but I'll probably buy it on D&D Beyond. I probably won't buy a hard copy of it. And $29.99 D&D Beyond, seriously, maybe $24. I probably won't buy the full book. I'll probably just buy anything that involves character creation, maybe monsters, but I'm more driven in the D&D Beyond. I'm more invested in the character creation than I am in reading the books. But with that said, it's not because I'm against Matt. It's not because I'm against Critical Role. I think Critical Role is fine. And I think I need to watch it again. At least start watching it again. I watch a lot of streams and I enjoy them greatly. I probably would enjoy this once more. But let's focus on the reality. Don't rain on someone else's parade. There are a lot of people, at least 20,000, maybe 50,000, probably, if not more, who are really, really genuinely excited about this. Who the hell are we to say, well, I'm not buying that fucking piece of shit? How do we know what it's like? We can't even have an opinion, really, on the content. Matt Mercer has repeatedly provided great entertainment and a world that is immersive and people love. Celebrate that. Celebrate that we have more people who are in 30 years going to be looking back and being nostalgic for Wildemount. This is great for the hobby. So think about why you're upset. What is it about you that's making you upset? What is it about the industry that's making you upset? Are you upset with Hasbro buying, this part of Wizards of the Coast? Are you mad at Wizards of the Coast because it's no longer TSR? What do we want to gain from this? There's another publication coming out later on this year, and that I'm sure is going to be big, if you want to put it that way. This is fine, and we shouldn't be dismissing Matt Mercer, Wizards of the Coast, Chris Perkins, of course, or Jeremy Crawford, or anybody who's involved in Mike Merles, anybody who's involved in the process and the choosing of what comes out and what's canon, what's not canon. They're doing a fine job. 5th edition is very, very popular for a reason. And it's very reminiscent of 2nd edition. They're moving D&D in a very positive direction. If D&D is what you love, don't crap on this particular publication because it doesn't fulfill your need for nostalgia. Or your strong opinions about Matt Mercer and what Critical Role provides the community. To me, Critical Role is building the community, and maybe in some ways, if it wasn't for Critical Role, the industry might be languishing a bit more. Not just D&D and 5th edition, but the entire industry. More people are watching different streams. People are getting into Iron Sworn. People are getting into Pathfinder. People are getting into all sorts of indie role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games. Celebrate this. This is great. But don't crap on it because you're getting older. And don't crap on it because you don't like Matt Mercer, you don't feel he's genuine, or you don't feel that acting has any place in D&D. I think it does. I think it always has. There's a big change between what Chainmail offered and what AD&D offered and what Second offered. It is a combination of both tabletop miniature gaming and role-playing. Not just rolling dice, but in the true sense of acting, playing a role. So let's embrace both. And I think that there's an argument to be had that Matt Mercer does that. So be happy for the community. This is only my opinion. I'm not particularly, invested in D&D so much that I have to go out with my giant, blade, saying we're going to avenge the dismantling of Greyhawk or Spelljammer or whatever. I don't like the direction that Wizards of the Coast is going. Forget it. Just relax, chill, keep your opinions to yourselves. Don't rain on other people's parades. Be genuine yourselves, and start to be a little more introspective about why are you feeling these things? Why are you upset? And if you're not upset, and if you're joyful about this, and you've actually stuck through and watched all this time, understand that there are older players who are jonesing for a recapturing of the past. And that you will be there one day soon. 30 years passes very, very quickly. And you will be an older person who's looking back and very nostalgic and thinking, is there something else that I can have? Are we going to visit my world, the one that I loved? Greyhawk, Spelljammer. They've already done Ravenloft, and we saw that they did a great job. I think that they're going. We need to trust Wizards of the Coast. We need to trust them. I think that they're making a good decision. I think that they're making good decisions. And yes, their business. This is a good business move. So take care. Have a good day. Don't be grumpy. And I'm glad that you've spent the time with me. So take care, and I will see you in the next video, which probably is going to be my reflections on what my first week of videoing and being a YouTuber with all 25 subscribers. What have I gained from it? What haven't I? And I'm going to keep it shorter this time. So anyway, take care. Bye.